live on Facebook and YouTube. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope everybody has had a great week. When you come in, make sure you click like and share this video. We have our special guest, author Marie Charles of the book Surrender to Truth, Healing and Freedom from Past Trauma. Welcome, Marie.
Hey, how y'all
Hey.
doing?
Good. So there's nobody out there yet, but they'll be in. They'll be in soon. So how was your week so far?
It's pretty eventful so far. It's been it's a lot of ups and downs this week, but we
You
winging it. We
made
get
it.
through it, right?
We're here. Same. I think my week went by fast. Hey sis, my sister's on, Jennifer.
Hi.
And so you'll see I'll post all of this stuff as we're going. You'll see all of this stuff pop up and I'll put the link to purchase your book um up here as well. It is down there, but it's convoluted. And I think yeah, so that's it. Yeah. So it's Friday. I teach Zumba class. I don't know if I ever told you or you saw that on my page. So I just finished teaching a class and then I always run over here and get all this set up and
You sound like
so
you're a busybody.
I am, but I love it. I love it. Yeah, my
Hey,
sisters they'll
nothing
tell
wrong
you
with
that
that.
too. Yeah. I think people call me a Jamaican because they say I have like 4 or 5 different jobs. But I like it like that. When I get bored, I don't know. I don't
Hey,
like
but
being
you
bored.
you busy in a good way, so ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, yeah. I love it. I love it. How's the weather in Louisiana?
Bipolar.
Is
It's
it?
it's bipolar. That's what I call it because you just never know what it's gonna be. Now, it's been pretty hot lately, but then the rain has been coming along with it, and so
Do y'all have humidity? Is a lot of humidity? I know when I
uh,
went there, I think the last time I went to Louisiana, New Orleans was 2005, 2006, something like
oh
that.
yeah, oh it is so hot, and the humidity doesn't make it any better. Your hair doesn't stand a chance outside. If you try to do something cute with it, it's really not gonna last that long. You better. Oh goodness, I hate it.
Are you near like the swamp areas, or no? Not really.
Not too far from it. There's like bayous and stuff along, or around here and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Yep. No, I don't go in it. I've never fished a day in my life. I want to try it, but I haven't done it yet. You think I would have by now, but I just haven't yet.
I went to I think Mississippi, and got into this boat, and it was crocodiles and all this stuff, and they were feeding them and calling them over and all of that stuff.
Oh yeah, the,
That
the
was fun.
airboat.
Yeah, the airboat.
See, I
Yeah.
never done that yet. You see, how you did that before me?
Yeah, but it was fun too. I thought I would be like a little nervous, but no, because it was like the crocodiles or alligators or whichever ones they are. They were just coming over and they were feeding them marshmallows and stuff like that.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, they
it was
probably
fun.
used to that stuff.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. It was fun.
Yes, indeed.
So welcome everybody to the Dr. Dare Show live, YouTube and Facebook. We have author Marie Charles, who will be sharing her story at 8:40. Everybody knows we start. Then we're giving everybody a chance to come in. What you'll see, Marie, is everybody will start coming in after a certain point. But um, yeah, I can't wait to hear about your book. I had a lot of responses in the group, the authors black group. So I had to like put different authors on a schedule just to keep up.
Oh, hey, yeah. How did this show start?
Me, I actually just started it. I would cover like hot topics or different stories on the
Mhm.
news, and then it just transpired into me doing stories because I'm a therapist. I like people to come on and talk about to share their experiences, just like you mentioned. I'll get into that in your book, about
Mhm.
people sharing their stories and helping other people, learn from other people's experiences. And so
Right.
then I started talking to not authors only, but just regular people who had experiences like death of children, cancer stuff, all of that. And so
Yeah.
that's where we are. So I've been doing it about 2 years. Um, yeah. But I
Oh,
just
okay.
I just love listening to people's stories, and so that it'll help other people. Like if they may be going through the same thing and don't know how to handle it.
Exactly.
And so this, yeah. So
That is
welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. Share, like, click, and click, share this video so that we'll get it out there. Hey, Karen.
Hey, Karen.
So we have author Marie Charles. Y'all can say hello. Jenny, you said ain't nothing wrong with that. Yeah, me being busy, yeah, keeps you out of trouble.
Right.
Keeps you focused too. For me, it's just I love just doing something. Always doing something with my mind and my hands, and it's just a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if can you hear my washing machine back there?
No.
Okay, good.
Don't feel bad. I watched about an hour or so ago, and I was hoping it's gonna be done before we started.
Oh yeah, that's what I was hoping too. See, there they go. Everybody's hey Donetta, another sister of mine. Hey, Karen says welcome Marie Charles.
Hey.
So we will be starting at 8:40 like we normally do. That's normally what I've tested. Everybody starts coming in around that time. So, yes, we are going to be talking about surrender to truth, healing, and freedom from past trauma. Um, there's one thing you said in there, and I'll bring that up later. I keep doing that, wanting to go start talking into it. Hey, Tanil. Hey y'all, how's y'all week's been? Week been? I know mine went by fast because of the holiday on Monday, but then I got a lot of new clients this week, so I have been busy, 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 busy with new
Ooh,
clients. Just people are struggling with mental health, and so
rightfully so. I
yeah,
think as fast as the time is going, the time that we had to slow down, people really things really caught up to them. They really had to start thinking about some stuff and dealing with it.
that's the thing. Yeah, once you
Yeah.
isolated in that house and you have to
Hmm.
deal with yourself, yeah,
It ain't
it's
always easy.
yep, yep. So we will start at 8:40. We have 2 minutes. Anybody have any questions? Welcome, author Marie Charles of the book Surrender to Truth, Healing, and Freedom from Past Trauma. I'm sharing on my phone, is what I'm doing.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Oh, I should do the same thing.
Karen, you said your week has been pretty fast. Glad it's the weekend. Me too. Yes, you do hear a New Orleans accent. You see that?
Real close.
Yeah. Yep, you do, Tony. Hey, cousin Tanya. See, everybody's coming in, coming in. Yep, you hear a new. Well, you can tell them where you're from, Marie.
I'm from New Iberia, Louisiana. It's like about 2 hours away from New Orleans.
Yeah, so we
I'm
got
sharing
1
it.
minute. Yep. Did you find it? Did you find it to
Yeah,
share?
found it. Hmm.
Okay, good. Okay.
But I actually went. Me and my husband went to New Orleans the end of last year, and we went to a cooking school. And it's called the New Orleans Cooking School. If anybody goes to New Orleans, it's awesome. They
Really?
actually they cook like traditional Louisiana type of foods. They cook jambalaya, gumbo, bread pudding and pecan candy, all from scratch.
Oh.
And like there's a chef that's cooking it for you, and and shows you what all the ingredients he puts in all this other stuff. There's all kind of traditional Louisiana type of like seasonings you could buy and stuff. But so he asked
What's
the
the
whole class, he
Uh-huh.
was like, he said, is anyone here from Louisiana? And in my mind, yeah, I thought that was a trick question. I'm like, we're in New Orleans, of course, everybody from Louisiana.
Uh-huh.
But me and my husband was the only people to raise our hands. And so when he heard me speak, he said, "Oh, I'm going to be asking you a lot of questions." He said, "Because you got the original accent."
So what's the name of that again? I'm gonna have to type that up here. What's the
It's
name of it?
called the New Orleans School of Cooking. And you could like
Okay.
I think they cook different things on different days, but you could reserve a spot and you just go there, and you could cook in the back with the chefs, or you could sit in the front like I did and have the chef cook for you.
Oh wow.
But it was
So
really
that
good.
okay. Awesome. Hope I spelled that correctly. I was typing pretty
Oh
fast.
yeah, you did.
Okay, good. Okay, so welcome everybody. It is 8:41, so we always get started. So we have author Marie Charles of the book Surrender to Truth: Healing and Freedom from Past Trauma. So Marie, you can kind of tell us a little bit about yourself and then start talking about the book, and anybody, if you have questions, you can just post them in the comment section and I'll highlight them and put them on the screen. So it's all yours, Marie.
Okay. I'm Marie Charles from New Iberia, Louisiana. I'm 36 years old. I have three teens that I'm taking care of right now. My daughter is 16, my stepson is 16, and my niece is 15. Um, so yeah, I'm really busy with them right now.
Yeah,
My daughter will be a senior next year, so we getting our first graduate out the house.
that's always good. Then you'll be empty nesters.
Yes,
Well, you got
I'm
two more after
excited.
that. Yeah.
Yes, yes, but I'm so excited. Oh my goodness. Oh,
Then you can
oh,
move because you said you wanted to move to
right,
somewhere
right.
with all this land. Okay.
Yes, exactly. I'm working. We slowly getting there. Oh, but yes. I guess what led to me writing the book that I wrote
Mhm.
is because I went through a lot in my childhood. I was molested by 8 different people from the ages of 7 to 13, and
Mhm.
it just really impacted my life. And I didn't realize how much it was impacting my life. I was silent about it. I hid it very well. I hid it with a smile. I just wore many masks. Nobody really knew, not
Mhm.
even my mama. And a lot of it was going on under my mom's roof.
How old were
Um,
you? How old were you when that took place?
the first time it happened, I was 7.
Okay.
And then between the ages of 7 to 13, there was 8 different people.
Wow.
And the seventh person was my mom's ex fiance.
Mhm.
He is the one that I lost my virginity to. Number 8 was his brother. Um, so
Wow.
it was a lot. And like I said, I hid it really well in my mind. I was like, if I just don't speak of it, if I don't talk about it, it'll go away. I could go on about my life and this is not gonna affect me. That's what I thought. And then into my adult life, I realized I was making a lot of decisions out of my brokenness.
Mhm.
It took me a while to realize that I was broken. In my mind, I thought I was fine. But when I realized I was broken, I started counseling and stuff.
Mhm.
And that eventually led me to be able to speak to my mom about what happened because she didn't know majority of what I went through.
Mhm.
Um, and then I lost her a year later. After I finally talked to her and told her what happened to me, she passed away unexpectedly. So that hit me
Wow.
again. Just as
Mhm.
I thought I was healing, I was rebroken again. And I realized I still was making decisions out of brokenness,
Mhm.
you know.
Mhm.
And
So
then eventually
how was it impacting like your relationships? What you had went through as a child? How was that impacting like your relationships? Or could you
it
tell
didn't
that it
hurt.
was impact?
it was the people that I chose.
Mhm.
I realized that I was broken because I was the one that chose them.
Gotcha.
And that's a big part of my book as well, is just accepting accountability. Like, yes, I was broken, but what I chose, and I chose it because I was broken. So I still had to deal with that. I had to be accountable for my actions.
Mhm.
Um,
But at the
uh,
time, you didn't know that you were broken, because you
yeah,
just hid everything. You pushed everything under the rug and kinda was trying to move on with life.
right. And I think
Okay.
I was more upset with the people that I chose. At
Mhm.
first, I was like, it was especially like, oh, because I'm in my second marriage right now.
Okay.
So in my first marriage, in my mind, I'm like, he was the problem. I had
Mhm.
to get away from it. And then I got married to my husband now. And at the very beginning, it was rocky, it was really rough, and it was kind of almost a repeat of what I did the first time. As far as for, like being cheated on and things of that nature. Like, I
Mhm.
chose somebody else just like my first husband. So it was me at that point. That's when I realized, okay, I'm choosing these people. I
And
can't
they're
blame them no
similar.
more. Yeah,
And
and it
are
was
they
similar.
similar? Okay.
In some ways they
Okay.
were similar. As far as for the cheating and the lying parts,
Mhm.
but that's something that me and my husband now we work, through that, and we're past that now. That's much better now. But I realized, as far as for the people that I was choosing them, and I'm
Mhm.
choosing them out of brokenness.
Mhm.
But it took me. Oh, and I was in my 30s before I realized that part. My all of my 20s, I was just winging it. I was just
Because I think that's the way I think our society teaches us to just, once you go through something, you kind of just handle it on your own, and you don't really. I mean, I guess you don't really. I don't know about you. I know with me, I didn't know that something was wrong. It was just like I didn't think of going to therapy or anything like that. It's like you just go and you work and you know just live.
right, right. And you see, what actually sparked me to go to counseling
Mhm.
was, I came across this person. You meet him, got really cool, and he wanted to be more than friends. And looking at the outside in, well, he seemed like the perfect person I should have been with, you
Mhm.
know, because
Mhm.
he seemed like he genuinely cared. He seemed like he genuinely just wanted to be with me. He didn't want to be with nobody else, and so on and so forth. But I just was not attracted to him in that way. And and then I think I fought it because it looked a little bit too healthy. It was
Mhm.
outside of my comfort zone. And I realized, like, basically, like, why am I fighting this? Why am I running away from what looks like a healthy love? That's when I started counseling, because I'm like, obviously something is wrong with me, you know.
Because
But
this is good, but
yeah,
to me, I want to run from. Why do you feel like you wanted to run from it?
I wasn't used of that, and to a certain extent, he had his own issues and stuff he had to work with.
Right.
He was very, very needy in a way that I was not used of. I just know I couldn't show up for him in a way that he needed me to show up, and I didn't want to lead him on. So I just, I had to let that go. But it's like I realized that I seen a pattern that I had going on, because by this time I had done divorced from my first husband. I was just running out there kind of like a man. You know,
Mhm.
I was messing with whoever I felt like messing with. Um, just kind of careless in a way, because in my mind I'm like, I'm not trying to get close to anybody. I don't want anybody else to hurt me. I'm gonna do this how I want to do it.
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
this dude came along and tried to show me this type of love and stuff, and I was just like, I, it just was out. Like I said, it was outside of my comfort zone. You
Mhm.
know, so
Okay.
that's when I ended up, in counseling and stuff.
Okay. So the first chapter, the first title of the first chapter is the breaking. What is that about?
That's about when I was originally violated whenever I was 7 years old. Because I feel like that particular moment put a target on me. That's what I felt like.
Mhm.
Because for me to have six, it's not six, to have seven people follow that incident. I'm like, this was the breaking point for me. This what broke me apart, because I was 7 years old and I was violated. And even though he did not threaten me, I knew I had to stay silent. Something
Mhm.
in me told me to stay silent about it. So
Mhm.
that's why I call it the breaking, because it literally broke me. It broke my innocence. It broke the way I look at people. It just, and my dad was already kind of pretty much out of the picture at that point. He,
Mhm.
come back and forth when he felt like it, but he wasn't a consistent father. So I was already broken from that. And then here it is, I go with my step uncle, who I thought I could look up to, maybe kind of like a father figure,
Mhm.
and went to Virginia with him on a summer vacation with him and his wife.
Mhm.
And along the way, we had to pick up his niece and her brother because the niece was going to babysit us. And before I could get to Virginia, we had to stop in Tennessee to pick them up.
Mhm.
And in Tennessee was the first time he violated me. So before we could even make it to Virginia, I was already broken.
Wow.
And then while in Virginia, I was violated by him and his niece
Mhm.
separately. Neither one of them knew about the other, but I'm 7 years old trying to fight off two people,
Wow. And where
and
was mom? Where was your mom at this time?
my
Like,
mom, when my mom was at home in Louisiana, she let me go to
gotcha.
Virginia with them. And
Gotcha.
he had a wife as well, but she worked the opposite shift of him.
God. Yeah. Okay.
So it was just, it was and the niece was abusive as well. So when nobody was around and she was watching me and her little brother, she was either violating me or she was beating me.
Wow.
So yeah, that's why I call it the breaking, because it did literally break me in that
Okay.
moment.
Okay. And then the next one is the shattering.
Yes. I call that one the shattering because that's when I speak of my mom's ex fiance. Uh I said in the beginning of it, if I would have known that staying silent would have hold on, give me just a second.
Okay.
Is I said if I knew what was to come, if I knew that my life would never be the same, if I knew that I would never be able to look at people the same, I would have spoken up. I would have screamed at the top of my lungs and screamed, "Help me!"
Mhm.
And I say that because there were so many people that came in between that time and up to the point where I'm speaking of my stepdad. I guess I should call him that.
Mhm.
It was just like, it was literally I call it the shattering, because it just broke those pieces more. I was just
Wow.
more broken. I couldn't trust people that much more, because I had so many people within my family. All the people that violated me were either friends of the family or family members. So I
Members.
felt like I could trust no one, family or not, you
So how
know.
would how was your behavior during that time as a little kid? Were you quiet? Were you How were you acting so that if somebody out there is suspecting like their kid may be going through this, what were you acting out as, kind of, if that makes sense? Or how were you acting?
Honestly, it's kind of hard to say because I hit it so well.
Mhm.
I acted with like laughing and being there for everybody, and always
Gotcha.
a little happy person. And then I was shy. I was real, like a real introvert, so I stayed to myself a lot.
Mhm.
Even at school, I felt like I kind of felt alone most of the time, until I got to high school, and then I was in band and I was around people that like to do stuff like I like to do.
Mhm.
But like I had a few friends, along the way, but nobody knew because I hit it so well. I was just always laughing and clowning and joking, and or just being the person that people could talk to when they needed to talk to. So it's hard for me to say how I acted out because I just hit it.
Gotcha.
I
Mhm.
went within, basically.
And that's probably what most kids do, right?
Right.
You wouldn't know, and that's why it's hard to tell. Okay.
And you know what? Something a negative thing that I did do was eat, because I
Mm,
started I started gaining weight at a young age. So I did eat as a I didn't realize it at that time. I know it now,
like
but
emotionally eating to
yes,
cover up the.
yep.
Okay. Okay. Then chapter 3 is called The Settling.
Yes. In the settling, um, it's just basically speaking of me thinking that I'm about to start living like a normal life.
Mhm.
Because at this point, let me make sure. I think at this point I told my stepdad that I didn't want to have sex with him anymore. You know,
Mm.
it's
Okay.
not that he like quote unquote raped me. I never told him no,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
I was 12, 13. Well, he started whenever I was 10. The grooming started at 10 basically.
Mhm.
But my virginity was taken at 12. And so it's like um, you know, I told him that I wanted to stop, and I finally thought that okay, things are about to be normal now, because and at that point it's like I got really scared about getting pregnant as well. Because I was like I didn't want to get pregnant and get pregnant by my stepdad. I don't think that would have looked too good.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I put a stop to it at that point. And so that's why I call it the settling, because it was just a dust settling basically. That's all it was for the moment.
Gotcha.
You
Mhm.
know, it
Were
wasn't.
you trying to figure out who you were at that point, or how to maneuver
Yeah,
with the? Okay.
or who I was gonna be, really.
Yeah.
The only goal I had in mind was to graduate high school, and that's it. I didn't have any college aspirations. I didn't know what I wanted to do after college. That's why I just started working right after I graduated.
Mhm.
And,
Mhm.
and I think a lot of that confusion, when I think about it now, it just came from the fact that my life was just crazy growing up the whole time as it was. I didn't have time to think about that kind of stuff. I was too busy hiding what I was going through and what I was doing.
Mhm. Mhm. Wow. And then the aftermath is your next chapter.
Yes, the aftermath, it speaks of the decisions I started to make because of my
Mhm.
brokenness. Getting into that first marriage that I knew I shouldn't have gotten into. Um just reacting, just constantly. I felt like I was just constantly living on survival mode and reacting. You know,
So did you feel loved by the first husband, or what do you think caused the breakup? What was the
I think we were just both two broken people trying to make it work.
trying to make?
He
Okay.
he, he didn't know what a healthy marriage looked like. I didn't know what a healthy marriage looked like or what it was, because my mom was never married while I was growing up with her.
So you never
So
saw that. So you
yeah,
never
I
you it
never
was
saw it. We didn't know what it was. And there was just a lot of issues that were there. And I tolerated a lot of stuff because I thought, things would change. That's why I got married to him, putting the rings on and all of that. That was gonna change everything. And it didn't, of course.
right.
And things just got worse and worse over time. We were both getting very disrespectful with each other. It was damn near like we had an open marriage going on, but trying to
Mhm.
deny it and stuff would come out. It was just crazy. It was toxic. And
Gotcha.
so and I stayed in it for a good while, longer than I wanted to, more so because of our daughter.
Mhm.
Um, in my mind, I'm like, I want to give her a two-parent household, but
Right.
I didn't realize that I was hurting her more staying than leaving, you know. And then when I realized I was just counting down how many years I had till she turned
I
I
can't.
can't
I can't.
yeah, I can't do this no
yeah.
more. And so I had to get out of it. It just wasn't healthy, and it wasn't
Mhm.
gonna get any better. I knew that for sure. It was not gonna get any better if I stayed in it. So I just had to leave.
Wow. Okay. So when was the point where you realized that, hey, I'm broken, or I need to be healed from my past trauma? What was, I don't know if I you said that earlier, but what was the
Yeah.
point that when you were like, oh, I need to see a therapist, or oh, something's wrong, other than.
it was that like I mentioned earlier, dealing with that guy and not understanding why I couldn't accept what he was trying to offer,
Yeah. Okay.
that, and knowing that I was in a very unhealthy cycle. I couldn't explain why I was dealing with half of the people I was dealing with. I didn't have any emotions towards them. I didn't want to have any emotions towards them.
Mhm.
It was just supposed to be for fun, but I knew some part of it was not good or healthy technically. And so when I finally did go to counseling, honestly, I didn't even think that my childhood played this much of a role in my adult life. It took about, like, I originally went there just to talk about my relationship issues, you
Mm.
know. And then in like the fourth or fifth session, my childhood finally came out, and that's when things started to, make
Unfold.
sense. That's when my
Mhm.
counselor started to piece things together for me. Like, this is why you are the way you are, and
Yep.
this is why you don't have any boundaries, because you didn't have it in your childhood.
Right.
It was just, that's when things started to come together.
Yeah. So that's the first thing when I'm seeing clients, the first thing that we start is the childhood. If I'm doing couples counseling or individual counseling, the first thing I ask them is, how was your childhood? Was there any kind of trauma in there? Because what I found of all the years that I've been doing this as a therapist is that most times if somebody had trauma in their childhood, they carry that into adulthood. That well, all the stuff that you went through created who you were, and the way you learned to handle problems and cope and escape and get away from those men and try to hide and all of that stuff, that you probably did that when you got older, but it was problematic in those relationships. And another thing is when I work with people with sexual abuse, usually they go from one extreme to the other. They usually have a high sex drive and they just sleeping
Right.
all around, or they're the opposite. They don't want to be touched. Sex is a chore. They don't want to be. So it's either one or one extreme to the other. So that's what I
Right.
listen to when people are talking. Do you connect with any of that I just
Yes,
said?
yes, I
Okay.
do. I know I went on the extreme of being like hypersexual.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like I said, to me at one point it was almost like a game. Like I literally felt like a man in a way. Friends would, me and I would clown with all my friends. I'm like, oh, I'm telling them about all my different stuff they living through me. And I'm like,
They like, whoa.
I'm like, you know what? I said, look, whenever I get older, when I'm like 55, 60, 70, be like, look,
Uh-huh.
I lived a little bit in my 20s. But it's like at some point now, it's like that I'm not proud of that. You know what I'm saying? It's not something for me to be proud of, because I was really playing with my life. You
Mhm.
know, it's
Mhm.
not all the time that I made sure it was a protected thing and stuff like that. I so it was unhealthy all the way around, and I recognize that now. But in the moment, I just
Yeah,
didn't
you
care.
don't see it.
Yeah, I
But I
just had.
thank you for being transparent and like there is none of us have room to judge, but that's the first thing I hear when I'm talking to someone and they're talking about their sexual abuse or something. Even before they mention the sexual abuse, if they start talking about their sexual experiences and it's all over the place, that
Mhm.
pings in my head like ask about sexual abuse. We have a question. That Felicia says, that's it. I sure didn't realize. I thought I was going for one thing, but went back 3 or 4 times when my abuse started. Thank you for sharing, Felicia.
Oh wow.
And Karen says, my Lord, what a blessing that you found your way to a therapist for your healing.
Yes. Whew. She was definitely my saving grace. I tell you that much. And I'm not gonna lie to you. Like the first year that I did counseling, almost every session I cried, especially when it came time to talk about me telling my mom.
Mm-hmm.
I realized then how heavy the guilt weighed on me, because I felt guilty. Because I didn't fight him off, because it wasn't something that I said no to. I felt like
Mm-hmm.
I was a willing participant. I know now that I was conditioned into it, from everybody else before him. I know that now, but I felt guilty for so long. I'm like, I'm not gonna tell my mama. Like, why would I tell her that, I did this with her fiance? She's gonna be more upset with me than anything. And when my
Wow.
counselor made me realize that that this was not my fault,
Right.
when I really understood that it really wasn't my fault. And it took a while for me to get there.
Mhm.
Um, I finally was able to have that conversation with her, and she told me herself, she was like, she didn't blame me at all. She felt bad because she said, like this is going on under her roof and she had no idea. And I had to tell her myself, like, don't feel bad for that because I hit it well. I hit it
Mhm.
very well. It's not like I gave her
Okay.
a choice to figure it out on her own.
Mhm.
Some
Yeah.
people, they rebel, they go real hard. I just went
Right.
in. So she had no
Right.
way of knowing.
Yeah. So how did you feel after you told your mom? Was that like
Oh, I
relieving?
felt so relieved. I felt
Mhm.
so relieved that honestly, I thought I was fixed. I thought I was cured. I didn't go to counseling no more after that. I did do one more session after
And
that,
that was it.
and I thought I was fine. I thought I was
Mhm.
fine.
That's what people think. Like it's a quick fix, but it's not.
Oh, it was not. Nope. I realized a few years later it was not. That's why I'm back with her and I'm staying there.
Yeah, it takes some work. Sexual trauma
Yeah,
does. So Jenny says, "I commend you. You are a strong woman." Sarah says,
that's
"I'm so
good. Thank
proud of
you.
you for being a voice. I love you so much. You are my inspiration." You said that's your sister.
Yeah, I love.
Welcome,
Yes, I love
sister.
you too, sister.
Yeah, but it's you made a statement. You said our stories are meant to reach beyond us. And what
Yeah.
is what does that mean for you?
For me, it means that it's not meant to stay with us. I feel like we hold on to it out of guilt, out of shame, and it's shame that we are not supposed to be carrying. We didn't
Right,
ask for it. Even when it
right,
happens within a family, we didn't ask to be born into that family, and we didn't ask to be messed up by it either. You know,
right.
and so it's like I'm realizing every time I speak on this, when I did the video, but when
Mhm.
I told my mom, I feel a little bit more free. I felt relieved whenever I got invited to do the video, the documentary of telling my story to the world for the first time, back in 2019,
Mhm.
I felt even more freer. And now that I've written this book and put it out there, I feel that much more free. So I feel like every time I speak on it, I feel that much better about it. And I just want other people to see it and feel the same way,
Yes.
because it is the secrets that we hold that's weighing us down. We are only as free as our secrets,
Yep.
and so it's like until you let it go, and it doesn't have to be on a platform like this. You could journal it, you could tell your counselor, you could tell a friend, but tell somebody. Don't just hold it in.
Right.
It's eating us up from the inside out.
Mm. And so how you learned all of that through going to counseling? That
Yeah.
holding those secrets will, yep. So we got a lot of comments here. Brandy says, "I'm extremely proud of you, Marie. We did clown a lot in high school. I've always loved your smile." Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Let's see. Felicia says, "I've never felt free with my family. I was more bound, but I'm working through it."
Yes, she is. And
Thank you
she's
for
doing an
sharing
awesome
that.
job too.
I love these stories because I see clients every day. And the reason they come to therapy is because it's confidential and you can go in and pour your spirit out
Right.
and nobody's going to say anything. But the more we carry, like you said, you've said it over and over again. I've read little clips. The more you carry this stuff, the more bound you're going to be, the more sad you're going to be. You're not going to be able to live your best life because you're carrying around extra baggage and you're hurting yourself because you've
Right.
a lot of people. Did you blame yourself for a lot of this stuff?
Yeah, definitely. That's where most of my guilt and shame came from, because I felt like there was something that I must have done as a
Mhm.
child that attracted all of these grown people to come to me. So I definitely blame myself. I also blame myself for never saying no. I don't want to do this. Leave me alone. Don't touch me. And I also felt shame from not saying anything to anybody,
Mhm.
or not saying it in a decent amount of time. Whenever I finally did tell my mom about my first violator, I was
Mhm.
around 12, 13 years old, but she had no idea. I'm only telling her about the first one. I'm not telling her that her fiance is actively, that
Doing
we
the
actively
same
having
thing
sex at
basically.
the time.
Mhm.
Yeah. And about all the other people in between. And even when I told her as a grown person, in my mind, like I said, I thought I was good. I thought I was fine because I finally told her. and yet at the same time only telling her was still keeping my secret safe from everybody else. She wasn't going to tell anybody, and then
How
she
did you
passed away.
realize and she passed away? How did you realize you
Yeah.
weren't fine still? What was your
When I in my second marriage, when we got married in November of 2018, and I saw red flags and things that popped up here and there that I ignored out of my brokenness.
Mhm.
I wanted to be loved, I wanted to be married, I wanted to marry this man that I knew that I loved, you
Mhm.
know, and I kind of ignored those things. And then it popped up again right after we got married, not even 2 months into marriage. It was there. And I just felt like I was reliving the same exact thing that I just got out of some years before. And
Wow.
so I went back to counseling after that because I was like, okay, obviously something is still, because as mad as I
Mhm.
was at him, I still chose him. I chose to marry him, you know. So there was something still wrong within me that made me choose him. So that's what made me go back to counseling. That's when I realized, okay, I'm still making decisions out of brokenness.
Wow. And so do you think you moved into those relationships too fast? Because I see that a lot is people because they haven't processed fully all of the past trauma, so they just trying to move and be happy, and that's why I was like, there's no judgment because all of us, the goal is we want to be happy. We want somebody to love us, but if you have past trauma that you haven't talked about or worked with, all you're doing is taking that from one relationship to the next, to the next, to the
Right.
next.
Right. And in my first marriage, well, in my first relationship, I definitely think I went into that too fast. I mean, after a week of us dating, I mean, I was 17 years old. First off, it was my first relationship ever, like
Mhm.
serious relationship.
Mhm.
And I didn't know what love was, what it looked like. Well, I thought that's what it was. And so I definitely got into that too fast.
Mhm.
And whenever I was 19, we had our daughter. So in my mind, I'm like, I got to make this work.
Mhm.
So I stayed in it longer, got married to him, at 22. It was just, it definitely, it was just, it wasn't supposed to happen. In this particular marriage, I felt like it wasn't rushed because we knew each other for so long,
Mhm.
before we just because we were friends and stuff for a long time before we got into a serious relationship.
Okay. Mhm.
So that one didn't feel rushed, but the fact that I still ignored those red flags and I let it go and I let it continue, it just, we had to work on that. And that was a process. We didn't just bounce right back into. It took us a good while to get back into the place that we're in now. But well, I knew that I could have left after I found out what he did. But
Mhm.
I was so broken. If I would have left at that point, I probably would have ended up with somebody else just like him, because the problem
Right.
at that point was me you
Gotcha.
know
Gotcha.
so I took time to work on me. He took time to work on him, and we've been working on each other, on our marriage in the process. And so it's much better now. But I had to
It
go
was
through
rough at first.
that to realize that I was still broken. As much as I thought I was healed, I was still broken.
Still broken. Okay. So
Yep.
Felicia says Marie is my new God sent angel. Love your splash of color inside joke. Brenda says, I'm so sorry that your childhood was taken from you. I'm glad you have pushed through this. Thanks for the power to seek help and get it.
Thank
I'm
you.
trying to read everybody's comment. Karen says, you are so brave. I know your story will help so many people.
So
And hey, Joanne. Joanne was our author last week. I'm so proud
oh
of you
hey,
for having the courage to speak out about your abuse. You are allowing others to see that it is definitely okay to seek therapy and, most importantly, to feel free and empowered. Yes.
yes, yes.
And Brenda says, thank you for sharing and helping and healing violated hearts. Yes.
Thank you.
And Felicia says, that's some deep stuff. I'm learning a lot through this journey. Yes. And is that your goal, Marie, for people to learn from your story?
Yes. Just to free themselves, and a lot of that freedom comes from being able to forgive yourself for the choices you made out of your own brokenness you
Right.
know We
It
can't
wasn't
we
your
can't
fault.
take it
Yeah.
really wasn't. We can't take it back. We can't undo it. All we can do is move, accept it for what it was, accept the reason why we did it in that moment, and know that
Mhm.
that's no longer who we are. Or even if we are still in that same place, we have plenty of room to move forward from that. We don't have to stay stuck in that cycle. We don't have to stay broken. We don't have to stay in that place. You can heal yourself. Trauma breaks all of us. It breaks all of us. But I feel like healing molds us. It molds us into who we're supposed to be. And whenever you get in touch with yourself and you start healing and you get to the place you want to be inside your own head, I think is when you really find your purpose.
Mhm.
A lot of us don't even know what our purpose is because it's clouded by everything else that's going on in our mind. Everything else we're trying to hide, the stuff we think we have packed away, it's still showing up in all kind of ways.
Yep.
And it's like until you get rid of that, you got to make room. You have to make
Yep.
room for the good stuff. And the
Yep.
only way you make room for the good stuff is letting go of all that bad stuff. But the only way you let go of it is if you deal with it. You have to deal with it.
Yep. And I think people think that they could just push it under the rug, but your body eventually is going to something's going to happen. Like me with
Right.
anxiety, that's what happened to me on a plane. I went into a panic attack flying away from Thailand. I was coming from Thailand and went into a full panic attack because I had pushed all of this stuff underneath, and it was like your body eventually one day is going to say no. You have
Yeah.
to deal with the stuff that you keep covering up.
Right. And it's either
So,
gonna show up in your mind, mentally, physically, some kind of way. Physically, I'm fighting all kind of different things, and I think part of that is because of the stuff I held on for so long.
mhm,
And I
mhm,
have to deal with that now. I'm dealing with pain daily, in my back and everything. But it's like it's just, I feel like it was just a part of the process. I wish I would have known that speaking up and saying something 10, 15 years ago, I would
mhm,
probably be in a much better place health wise if I would have said something.
mhm, mhm.
And
But
I
we
if
don't
it
know. You don't. Yeah,
right,
you didn't know
yeah.
at the time.
Everything
Yeah.
happens as it should. I feel
Mhm.
like I'm speaking up at the right time, you
Yes.
know.
Yes. So Estelle, Sister Estelle says, "Wow, bless your heart. Um, she went through a lot, Jesus." And then, trying to make sure I'm reading everybody's comment. Melinda says, "My daughter needs your strength."
Mm.
Yeah. So a lot of people are going through stuff. That's why I'm so glad you did. So, why did you title your book "Surrender to Truth: Healing and Freedom from Past Trauma"?
Um I titled it that because I feel like you're not free until you surrender. I feel like in surrendering to your own truth, it makes you feel vulnerable.
Mhm.
And for most people, feeling vulnerable makes them feel weak. But
Mhm.
honestly, to be vulnerable, it is the like it's the strongest thing anybody could ever do for themselves and for everybody else around them. you
Mhm.
know so until you're able to really truly surrender to your own truth, you will always kind of walk in a lie. you know Like as
Mhm.
long as you wear those masks and you keep it covered up with a smile or with work or with whatever we mask it with,
Mhm.
that could only last so long before it eats you up from the inside out, literally. You
Okay.
know,
And I
yeah.
totally agree. I see it all the time in therapy. We got two questions out here. Jennifer says, "What are some signs of a predator for children or parents to watch for?"
Ooh, that's a hard one because predators come in all ways, in all shapes and forms, and it'll come in from the people you least expect it from.
Mhm.
The I would say pay attention to your child. I feel like our children tell us things that we don't really pay attention to. Sometimes, we have to leave our children with certain babysitters
And they don't
and
want to go.
they don't want to go. They scream and they cry. And in our mind, we just think they want to stay with us. But sometimes it's because they're being violated. They don't feel safe by that person. Um, I would
Or if
say
they
me.
start complaining about physical pain that there's no reason for it. Because I actually just had to read up on it because I had a client that I suspected was being, so I had to kind of read up on like what are the signs that children display, and that was one of them is that they'll complain about physical pain, maybe
Mm-hmm.
because they're being violated and
Right.
no excuse for that. But go ahead, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, no, 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 you good, you good.
Okay.
And for myself, like I said, I was extremely quiet. I was to myself a lot. And the way that I laughed and clown, I guess that's not a good indicator because you could just be a happy child. That's just
Right.
how I made it. So it's hard to say what signs you could look for because everybody takes it in a different way, and predators come in all shapes and forms. I would just say be as in tune with your child as possible. Make sure
Have
that door is
conversation.
open. Yes,
Mhm.
make sure that door is open. Make sure they know that they could come to you and they won't be judged. They won't feel like it's their fault, and they won't feel like they're gonna get in trouble because they said something, you know. And sometimes our children come to us and they tell us their stories, and sometimes we have to just sit right there and listen to it. Not judge it, not try to act on it, not try to be a savior. We have to sit right there and just
Just
listen
listen.
to it, as hard
Mhm.
as it may be, because Lord knows as a parent, we want to go hard. We want to go after whoever it is that hurt our babies. But sometimes
Mhm.
you have to just sit and listen to it and let them know that it's a safe place for them. To me, that's the best resolution. That's the best way that we are going to be able to fight like this generational cycle, because
Mhm.
everybody is affected by it, whether it's directly or indirectly. Everyone is affected by it, whether it's their mama, their daddy, their cousins, their sisters. Somebody is affected by it within the family. And then a
Mhm.
lot of times it stays in that family because it is if it happens in the family, it stays in the family type of stuff. And I
Mhm.
don't believe in that stuff no more. I don't care if you're family or not. If you hurt me or if I'm gonna say something. You
Mhm.
know, and our younger generation needs to know that they could speak up and say something, and they won't get fussed at or told to go pray about it.
Right. Just talk to them and listen, and don't say go pray about it. That's the worst.
Right.
So we have another question.
My husband.
Your cousin. We got
No,
all the
that's my
families in
husband.
here. Oh, your husband. How did
Yes.
you become stronger as an individual? How do you pronounce his name? Is it Shanga?
Yeah, Shanga.
Oh, I'm good. I did good.
Yeah, you did a good
Welcome,
job.
Shanga.
Most people don't get that.
He says, "How did you become stronger as an individual?"
um, I think it was a lot of different things that made me become stronger. The I think the first thing was my mom.
Mhm.
Watching her and the way that she raised us and the love that she raised us in, regardless of what I went through. As I said, I hid it well, so it's not like I gave her a chance to know about it. So I don't blame her for it at all. And
Mhm.
so first off, I would say that she built me into the person that I am today.
Mhm.
And the next thing that made me strong was my daughter. She's the one that kind of kept me on track, even when I started spiraling kind of out of control, and I had a lot of unhealthy habits, or addictions, you might as well call it. To a certain extent, I knew I still had to kind of stay on track and stay strong for her.
Mhm.
She was always my drive. She was always my drive to do better, to want more for me and her, to want more for everything.
Mhm.
And my husband, he has been a very big part of my strength. Regardless of what we've been through, he has always been someone that I could lean on, that I felt safe with. He's the first one to kind of let me know that he recognized that I was hypersexual. And he
Mm.
kind of figured that it came from something. And he was the first person that I felt comfortable telling that story to. I couldn't even tell that to my first husband.
Mhm.
So he has always been a very big part in driving me into where I am today. He wants me to build up and be as strong as I could be as a person, as an individual. And I would just say my life experiences has made me as strong as I am. Had I not gone through that, I wouldn't be able to show up and be who I am to the people, to people
Mhm.
today. I have like a lot of I like to call them bonus daughters and stuff like that. I have bonus children. I just love all of them. But I wouldn't be able to show up for them the way that I do had I not been through what I went through.
Okay, I'm trying to fix my I lost the chat on
Yeah,
that side.
you're
But
good.
okay. Um I'm trying to get back to okay. So I
Yeah,
think
Alicia will be coming out with a book soon too, so you'll be able to
I'll
interview
have
her.
her on the
I'm,
show.
I'm, I'm just
Good.
dropping. I'm just throwing it out there.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know what this thing has done on this side, but it's done something. So let's see. Karen says, I love seeing all of the family and friends support. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And I think Felicia was saying something about being vulnerable, and that's what I really wanted to focus on. How did you become vulnerable or allow yourself to be vulnerable, to be transparent, and to tell all of the stuff that you're talking about now in your book? Because I remember before we got on, you were talking about how you kept going back and forth and holding on to your book because there was things that you were scared to reveal or wasn't sure to reveal. So yeah, talk about that experience.
Um, well, I would say the first thing that kind of helped me with the vulnerability was when I did the video, telling my story the first time. The way the opportunity came to me, I knew it was something that I was supposed to do.
Mhm.
My aunt is in Georgia and she's friends with the founder of the I'm Loving Me project, who was the one that I did the video with.
Okay.
And my aunt reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to go out there and tell my story because she was telling her story.
Mhm.
And but she didn't know what my story was. She didn't know what I went through as a child. She didn't know that I just recently attempted suicide, which was just a few months prior to that. Her asking
Mhm.
me to go out there. She didn't know any of those things. So I kind of took that as a sign that okay, maybe it's time that I actually say this out loud, you know. And so that was the initial start of it. And then when I realized how many other people related to my story, and they were able to start telling their story and it kind of helped heal them too. I'm like, okay, so
Mhm.
my story is helping heal other people too. Well, why not speak on it?
Mhm.
And then people asked me if I ever thought about writing a book. And that's where the book came along. I started writing in it and then I realized how much I was writing. I was going to be exposing a lot of people, my mom's side, on my dad's side, by myself, my marriage,
Mhm.
everything.
Mhm.
And I was scared of that. So I held on to it, for a couple of years. And then finally at the beginning of this year, I was just like, I had friends along the way that would ask me about it every now and then. She made sure I stayed on it. It was like, Marie, you got to do this book. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but you don't know what you're asking me for.
Right, you don't know what's in there.
Right. And finally, I'm like, I have to get out of my own head. I have to do it. Just do it. Something told me. At one day I was like, I'm gonna do it. So I reached out
Mhm.
to the editor and everything. I said, okay, I'm ready to get this started. And whenever the time came to actually put it out there, I couldn't sleep worth a damn that night. I couldn't sleep at all. I was just nervous. I'm like, what is my family gonna say? Because there's so many people in my family that still didn't know my story.
Mhm.
And I was talking about some of them. So it
Wow.
was like I didn't know what to feel, what to. But after those family members reached out to me, even family members of my violators reached out to me and gave me their support. My only regret was not putting it out sooner.
Sooner. See,
So
and
I'm like,
that's
it's
fear.
actually okay to be vulnerable. It's
Yeah.
okay. Like I'm still here. I'm not broken. I'm actually a little bit more healed and I'm a little bit more better. So it's actually okay, you know.
Thank you for that. Yeah, people need to hear that. Because that's how I believe once you become aware and you are vulnerable and you can heal and start to find that inner peace within yourself. We have a question from Brenda. After having a child and the child being a girl, how did you handle her as far as being protective of
Ooh, yeah. I,
her?
I that was a hard balance. I ain't gonna lie. I didn't want to be the overprotective mom.
Mhm.
Because I kind of felt like my mom was that way, but now that I have my daughter, she wasn't really overprotective. She was just trying to protect me, you know.
Mhm. Mhm.
But I was very cautious as to who I would let her sleep by. Most of the time, thankfully, she wanted friends to sleep by our house, and I was okay with it. You know,
Mhm.
I had a room, a house full of girls all the time, but I was okay with that because I knew for sure that was a safe haven for them, and I knew
Mhm.
my child was safe.
Mhm.
And as she got older, and I knew she wanted to go hang out with friends and do different things, you know, I just had to I have to let go because I can't be around her 24/7. But I've always left that like door of communication open, so she knows that at any given moment, at whatever is going on in her life, whatever she's feeling, she could come and talk to me whenever she's ready to talk about it. I'm not gonna sit
Mhm.
right here and judge her on it. So that's been my way of dealing with it, is just leaving that door open and knowing that, hoping and praying nothing happens to her. But if it does, she'll come talk to me. That's pretty much all I could do at this point, because I can't protect the 24/7. I wish I could, but I know I can't. But
Yeah.
I've also told her my story at a young age as well. She was
So
around
that
like,
she knew.
yes,
Yeah.
she was around like 10, 11 or so when I really told a majority, a good bit of it, what I knew she could handle at that point.
Mhm.
And she's always been a whole lot mature than her age, so I knew she could handle it. But it
Mhm.
let her know, like, okay, yeah, mom is not superhuman. I'm not superwoman. I'm human too. I've been through some stuff too, and if you go through some stuff, you can come and talk to me about it.
I love that. So breaking that generational curse of just
Yes,
passing it all along.
yes.
And so Felicia says she's working on being vulnerable. I think that's what I saw. She says she's working on it. But thank you, Marie. Any more questions? Make sure I put the link up there, and the link is on my page. And make sure you follow Marie on Facebook. But the book is Surrender to Truth, Healing and Freedom from Past Trauma. You
You gotta
got a
show you my
copy of
picture.
it? Yeah, there you go.
Oh, let me fix it. Oop, there we
Yeah,
go.
that's it right there. Perfect. And so make sure you go out and get a copy. I believe all of these stories help. What I want to do is pull all of these authors into some big conference place and let everybody do a speech or talk about their book, and just everybody just learn from everybody's experiences, because
All
that's how
right.
you grow, that's how you heal, that's how you find peace. And so I thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you.
on the show and sharing your life and being vulnerable and being transparent, just so to help somebody else. And that's the goal, I think, of your
Right.
book. You said earlier, like, you struggle with not giving the book away all the time, and yeah, don't give the book away. um because people, they need it, they should purchase it, and it's going to help them. So thank you so much for taking the time to be with us on this Friday night. It was a great
Thank
show.
you.
I've learned a lot. It added more to what I knew about sexual trauma, and now I can help other clients just basically listening to your story right here. So thank you. Anybody else have any other questions before we exit for Marie? Great audience, y'all. Thank you for the questions. They were great. They added to the content of the show. Make sure you share this video. Don't forget to do that so that people can purchase this book. They can hear these experiences, and we can help other people out there. Somebody right now, believe it or not, is going through all of this, going through the
Right.
same thing that you went through right
Right.
now.
Exactly. And it's sad. It needs to be broken. It needs to
Yep.
stop.
Yep.
I don't know if it'll ever stop, but I really feel like if we give these children the courage and the power to speak up no matter what,
Mhm.
this will stop eventually. It'll slow down. It may not ever come to a complete stop because there's a lot of sick people in this world, and hurt people, and I get that. But
Mhm.
I think the only way that we start to kind of slow this down is by exposing them. And it's really more so about freeing yourself than it is about exposing them,
Right.
you know. So we
Because
just
you've
have to keep
punished
it
yourself
going.
for so long.
Right,
But just releasing that stuff and letting somebody know and processing it is what we say in therapy. Processing your past trauma. That's how you start to heal yourself.
right.
But thank you, cuz, for coming on.
Thank
I,
you. It's been a pleasure.
all right. So everybody have a good night. I'm giving you your Friday night back. And thank you so much, Marie Charles. It was fantastic. Thank your family for the support. Thank all of my audience out there. Thank y'all for coming, being supportive. And we will get ready for next week for our next show. All right.
Yes,
So everybody
thank
have a good
you.
night and thank you.